What's up, YouTube? Jay Lee here. I'm out walking on a nice, cool, tranquil Saturday night. And today on this podcast, I'm gonna make it a quick one because it's not a very deep concept. Although, it gets complicated to the hearer. The hearer complicates it, but it's not a very. Men are not complicated. Men are not complicated. So the question is. And this is for the ladies. This podcast is for the ladies. Men can listen to and take from it what you want. But this is for the ladies. I keep hearing this, keep seeing it on social media. And again, if you go to channels like Taylor the Fiend, who else? There's lots of channels out there. What's that guy's name? Tribe of Men. Go to his channel. The Whatever podcast, I think is what it's called. Anyway, this question keeps coming up, and there's constant videos online. Women are asking, why am I single? Why am I still single? Why am I still single? I've done everything right. I've went out and got my degree. I've, actualized myself as a modern woman, and I've empowered myself. I have confidence. I have money. I'm independent. I take care of myself. Aren't I a catch? Right? They just don't get it. They just don't get it. They're clueless. They're clueless of what men want. Here's one problem, ladies. You don't actually listen to men when we tell you what we want. You don't listen to us. You think that you know what men want. Turn around here. You think you know what men want. You assume that you know what men are thinking. You assume that you know what men want. Many women, unfortunately, turn around again. Many women, unfortunately, spend many years of their life thinking that all men want is sex. And what happens to those type of women? They just go out and they have a bunch of sex to get the men, right? Not very complicated, right? But what's the result of that? The result of that is you just get pumped and dumped. Or guys use you for as long as they can. You don't know what men want because you don't ask us what we want. You assume you know what we want, right? Funny how women say, why am I still single? But they don't ever ask men. Right? What do men want? Here's the difference between men and women. When you ask a woman what she wants, she'll tell you all this bull crap, all this list of BS, all these standards, blah, blah, blah. And then she'll break all those standards for the Chad, the 6'5" Chad with abs and the 10-inch penis, right? Such a funny word. But, they make rules for betas. They break rules for alphas. This is your behavior, ladies. This is what you do. So what are you gonna do to counter that? How are you gonna change? Unfortunately, in many cases, it's too late for a lot of women because they're in their 30s. Not only do they have no clue what men want, but they're damaged by modern feminists, radical feminist brainwashing, right? You can get to a point where you're so far gone that you can't dig yourself out of a hole. You just got to cut your losses and say, all right, I'm going to be single, or I got to go settle with some dude who I don't really have a lot of passion for. And this is what we see a lot with a lot of feminist women. They're settling for guys who are docile, who are good earners, and that's it. It's a transactional relationship, right? He's got the money, he's docile. He's left-wing, he's a male feminist, he believes in feminism like I do, ooh woo, support women, rah rah. Listen, that's a bunch of lies, that's a pack of lies. Most men care about women, most men are not toxic masculinity, most men are not chauvinists, most men don't have anything to do with the patriarchy. They just want to provide for a family, take care of a family, love one woman. That's most men, right? All those lies you've been told. Anyway, so here's why you're single, ladies. Because no one told you how to treat a man. No one told you that men care about character. No one told you that men care about morals, right? So whenever a woman says, why am I still single? Here's what I say. I say, how's your character, right? Are you an honest person? Are you the same at home as you are away from home? Are you moral? Are you honest? Right? How do you treat men? How do you view men? If you've been pumping yourself with feminist propaganda, feminist poison for the last 20 years, you're not going to treat men well. You're not going to view them in a good light. If you've been chasing Chad, chasing the hot guy, getting pumped and dumped, you're not going to respect men because those are the men you're around. And then you think, oh, all men are like that. Woo, woo, woo. No, only the men you chase are like that. Only the men who sleep with you and dump you are like that. There's a lot of guys out there who want to love you. They're just not exciting, right? And so you spent 20 years, 15 years, however long since you were of age, an adult, right? 18, however long, right? You could be in your mid 30s now, early 30s, whatever. You hit that epiphany stage. You've realized, oh, I've had my fun. Now it's time to settle down. Well, guess what, ladies? Your options are now limited because quality men don't like used goods. Sorry, that's the truth. Quality men don't like used goods. This is what your mother should have taught you. This is what your father should have taught you. But you're learning too late, and now you got a result. So this is why we go to channels like Taylor the Fiend, Tribe of Men, The Better Bachelor. This is why we go to those channels, because they showcase modern women and the results of this type of behavior, the results of this type of living. The results are unhappiness, singleness. Now you're a cat lady. Now you're single. Now you're 30. Sure, you got money. You're empowered. You're independent. Guess what? Guys don't like that. We don't care. We don't care if you have money. We don't care if you're confident. It doesn't make us more attractive. See, here's the thing. Women think that what they're attracted to in a man is going to be attracted to in them. Not true. Not true. Ask a man what he wants. He's going to tell you, I want I hate to use the word, submissive woman. What does that mean? It doesn't mean he's the king, he's the ruler, he's the boss necessarily. It just means a woman who's not going to boss us around. A woman who's going to be a team player. A woman who's soft and gentle. She's not aggressive, because this is what modern feminist teaches women. Oh, I'm going to go be aggressive. I got to be a boss lady. I got to compete with men. Woo, woo, woo. That is like water to a cat. It's so unattractive. Men do not want that. Men actually are aversive to that. They don't want anything to do with a woman who's bossy. They don't want anything to do with a woman who's argumentative. They want a compliment. They want somebody who's going to help. They want somebody who's going to complement their life. And we don't want women who are going to use us for our money, and we can tell. It's a catch-22. Yeah, men should be providers, blah, blah. But also, we don't want the woman who's just in it for the money. So men need to be smarter in that way. Stop getting suckered in by these women who just want you for your lifestyle and your money. Men need to stop being suckers, right? But also, women, you need to choose a man for something deeper than that. Choose him for his character. Choose him for his kindness. Choose him for his humility. Choose him for his morals, his ethics, his standards. There's many men out there who are very honest, very moral, very gentle, very patient, have great characters, but that's boring to you, unfortunately. For whatever reason, your biology screwed you, whatever. But if you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, it ain't gonna work out for you, right? Why am I single? Well, I guarantee you haven't been out there not sleeping around. I guarantee you haven't been out there practicing celibacy. Don't think so, right? Are you waiting around to find the right one for marriage? No, you're going out, you're dating, you're having fun. Oh, I'm enjoying my, girl power, blah, 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 right? Oh, I got my glow up. Now I'm going to go out and walk like a stripper and wear skin tight clothes. Of course you're not. That's not girlfriend material. That's not wife material, ladies. You have to understand that. Ask a man what he wants. He's not going to tell you he wants that woman who's dressed like a stripper. He's going to tell you, yeah, I'll sleep with that girl. Now that right there could be a compromise in the man's morals. He could be a hypocrite for doing that. Women have a point there. Yeah, it's hypocritical for men to say, yeah, I want a nice woman who's moral, doesn't sleep around, and then they themselves aren't moral, and they themselves don't, or they themselves sleep around. Yeah, that's not cool, right? Men, you need to live up to your own standards. That's true. But I will also say this, it's not like There's just nice, good virgins waiting around the corner for every guy. So what happens with guys? They're like, damn, I'm waiting, I want my wife. He hits 20 years old, 22, 25, graduates college, is like, well, I want to start my life, I want a wife. And then what does he have to choose from? There's all these 22 to 25-year-old girl bosses, quote unquote, out here who got pumped up with all this feminist propaganda. Many of them have now transformed into man haters. Many of them are ladies of the night. Many of them are escorts, OnlyFans, doing porn, whatever, cam girl, right? Or just being a slut at the bar, right? What do we have to choose from, ladies? Give us something good to choose from, right? Why am I single? Are you selfish? Are you a selfish person? Are you narcissistic? I know that word gets thrown around a lot, particularly by women, because they like narcissists. You always say men are narcissists because you go for narcissists. That's what you're attracted to, the Machiavelli type. That's what you go for, right? The Machiavellian man who's a shrewd, he's shrewd and he's calculating, he's going to screw you over, and then you think all men are bad when really it's just your choice in men, right? There's lots of nice guys out there. Again, they're just boring to you. Yes, you like the nice guys, but you like him when you're 30, and guess what? You don't deserve the nice guy when you're 30. You don't deserve the good, decent dude when you're 35 years old, and you've been riding the cock carousel, you had your epiphany, now you want to settle down. You don't deserve it. And I advise men, don't go for that woman. If you got to be single forever, be single, or cope however you got to cope. That's my advice to men, because it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it to settle, because she's going to have all kinds of baggage. She's going to have all kinds of problems, right? Now, unfortunately, in today's day and age, what are your options, right? Anyway, that's another story. But why am I single? Do you uplift and compliment your man? Do you make him feel loved and welcomed? Are you accommodating to his manhood? Do you make him feel like a man? I've dated women who made me feel like a man, and that feels darn good. I've dated women who sort of low-key disrespect me, or don't sort of low-key look at me suspiciously, or sort of low-key just because of my gender. You want to talk about bigotry? Women, I'm sorry to say, a lot of them are bigots. A lot of feminists are bigots because they marginalize an entire gender based off a bunch of lies. You can say, oh, well, MGTOW guys, red pill guys, they're doing the same thing. No, we're just speaking our experiences. We're just telling the truth. And women say, well, I'm just telling my truth. Maybe. But I think a lot of it is you're dating these certain types of guys, and you're acting like that's all men. Because you're not, we all know hypergamy. You're not messing with the guy who's not higher up. You're not messing with the guy who is above you. You want above and beyond. You don't want to date an equal. You don't want to date a guy who's lower value than you. It's all about value. All about value, unfortunately, in this sick world. I say drop all that shit. Drop the transactional relationships. Drop the value-seeking crap. And go back to something wholesome. Love people, care about people. What about loving a man despite his faults? What about loving a man despite the fact he's not very well off, right? There's many options if you start doing that. Why am I single? Because you got a book full of standards that no man can meet, and you yourself are not sitting around waiting for that man. You yourself are not meeting those standards, and you're not sitting around waiting for a guy to even come up to those standards. You're sleeping with guys until you get to that guy. This is the problem. We know this. Men know this intrinsically. Inherently, men know this. Hey, I'm out here dating. These women are out here sleeping around. If I date a girl, I guarantee she's been sleeping around until she got to me, right? It's just the way of the world now, right? Well, this is a problem because there's all kinds of damage, all kinds of baggage. Women get jaded, changes their personalities, because women can't do it necessarily the same way men can. I think, and I've said this on my channel a lot, I think a man can sleep around to some extent and not have too much emotional investment in it. But it's happened to me. It can happen to men, where once you start sleeping with a woman and dating a woman, you start to have feelings. You start to have that love bond. You start to get attached, right? It does happen for men, but I think it's less for men than it is for women. I think women almost need an attachment first in a lot of cases, and in some cases they don't if the guy's hot enough. But their emotions are different. Their emotions are very much more connected to sex than our emotions are. I believe that. I've always said that on my channel. So again, you go out and you sleep around, and your emotions get warped. You become jaded. You become pessimistic, and we can tell it comes out in your vibe. And not only that, you don't give guys a chance. You don't give guys a chance. You're not giving decent guys a chance. The only, you know, again, rules. She makes rules for betas. She breaks rules for alphas. You're making the decent guys jump through a bunch of hoops to access you and to access intimacy with you, and you're giving free access and free intimacy to men who are not decent guys, right? We see this. We see the hypocrisy. We see the inconsistencies. This is why men are walking away. We don't want to invest in something. We don't want to chase something that it does not serve us, that is warped, that is damaged, right? You don't go to Goodwill and go shopping for underwear. It's disgusting. It's used. You know, it's not a one-to-one. It's not exactly the same, right? But it's kind of close. Sorry, ladies, men do not want to date a woman who's been community property. We just don't. And that's what happens when a woman goes out and she sleeps around. She becomes community property. She becomes used goods, right? So I always hear this, and this is why, ladies, you need a good character, you need purity, and I'm not asking you to be religious, I'm not saying join Islam or something, but, you know, there's this argument where like, oh, sex is just sex, it's normal. You can cry and scream about it, but this is just the way men are. It's just how we're wired. We don't want used goods for the most part. A quality man doesn't want used goods. Now, yes, to some extent, there's a kind of a grace period, right? Okay, from 1 to 5 okay, you dated a guy in high school, you had sex, dated a guy in college, you had sex, you maybe had 1 or 2 boyfriends after college until you met us. Not too bad, right? Your body count is 4, maybe 5, not too bad. But that's not really normal anymore, is it? That's not really viable anymore, is it? Like that's not terrible. Okay, that's not, you know, I read somewhere the average man, not the Chad, not the 10 out of 10 Chad, but the average man has 5 sex partners in his entire life. That sounds about right. With how hard it is to get sex for a man, sounds about right. For women, I would say it's at least 10 times that. At least. Probably 20 times that for a lot of women today. I don't want to generalize. I know there's a lot of gray area. I know there's a lot of in between. But I would say if you find a woman who's got a body count under 5 and who's attractive, who's good looking, and men, you don't always have to date super good looking women. I've dated women who were like well below what I would call my own standard for looks. I've dated a 5 out of 10 and we had a great time. We had awesome times up until she turned on me, which was a red pill experience, and I learned female nature, that even women who were less attractive, at the time I thought, oh, she's not very attractive, she's unassuming, right? And I thought, oh, she's probably a pretty good woman. Nah, she was worse. She was worse than a lot of other women who were more attractive. So you never know. But men, yeah, you don't have to always go for the 10 out of 10. And I don't think I think men are more, there's always this saying that like, oh, women are okay with dating a guy who's less attractive as long as he's got like character. No, as long as he's got money. If a guy's got money, he can be less attractive. Or unfortunately, sorry ladies, this is how you roll. You can get mad. Again, you can kick and scream, but this is what we see. We see your behavior, right? So give the guys a chance. Give the regular guys a chance. If you can't do that, I don't know what to tell you. You know, why are you single? That's why you're single, because your standards are crazy. You got pumped full of lies by feminism that told you you're a super boss queen and you can have anything you want, right? This is what modern feminism taught you. This is why you're single. That's why. It lied to you, right? You can go out and sleep around and have your cake and eat it too. You can't do it for most cases. Various reasons. I explained a bunch of them just now. Yeah, date somebody who's not a 10 out of 10 Chad. Date somebody for their character. Date somebody for their honesty. And you might fall in love with those things, but we don't put ethical or moral values on things anymore. unfortunately it seems, right? A lot of society today is just, it's the quick thing, it's the quick buck, it's the, whatever's going to get me what I want right now thing. And then you realize you wake up alone 10 years later and you're like, what happened? Well, you didn't build a good foundation for a relationship. Your relationship was based on great sex. So your relationship was based on toxicity. You were attracted to the drama. You were attracted to the bad boy. And then you wonder why he turned out to be a bad boy. It makes sense, right? You wonder why he cheated on you. You wonder why the guys you're chasing can't be loyal, because they've got a million other options, right? The guy who's a decent guy, maybe he's not a 10 out of 10 Chad. He doesn't have as many options, right? And he's a decent guy, and he has some core values, some moral values that keeps him being loyal to one woman. But you got to live up to that standard too. You got to have values, and you got to be a loyal woman. And that includes not sleeping with men before you meet that guy. This is what your parents should have told you, but they're not. This is why you're single, right? This is why you're single. So it's a sad story, and it's hard for me to say this, because it's like there's not a lot of rainbow at the end of the road here. There's not a lot of silver lining here, because it's I guess you would say just you're gonna have to settle. He's gonna have to settle. And here's another thing: a lot of men's standards have to do with purity. A lot of men's standards have to do with wanting a woman who's sexually kind of pure to some degree. Again, I said below 5. Is that even viable in today's market? Is that even viable? Below 5? I don't know if it is, ladies. You tell me. I would say probably your count is probably 5 times that. That's what I would say. The average count for a woman in today's day and age, probably 25 to 50 is on average. And I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if many women today have between 75 to 100. I mean, okay, maybe that's a lot, but telling you that number racks up. I remember I was watching this guy, actually Ghostface Killah. A lot of people don't know who that is. He's a rapper, but he was talking about something, and he was using a good example. He was saying, imagine a girl who goes out to a club once a week, maybe Saturday night, just 4 times a month. That's it, 4 times a month. You go out with your friends Saturday night. Maybe just one of those nights, not even each night, maybe just one of those. I think he said every night, but let me change it to once a month. You sleep with a new guy once a month that you met at the club. Once a month. Well, what does that mean? It means you get 12 new guys a year. 12 new guys a year. In 5 years, you've got 60 bodies. That's it. 5 years, you got 60 bodies. So by the time, I think a lot of these women, by the time they hit 30, 35, I would say 50 to 75 pretty easily. Pretty easily. Sorry to say, men have these standards. Women hate to hear it. It's like a cat to water. They hate it. They hate to hear it. It's a cat to water. Men, they're such hypocrites. They want sex, but they don't want to. Yes, men are hypocrites. That's true. I would agree with that. It is true to be hypocritical in that way. But it is what it is. We want to have fun with the loose women. Hey, let us all hit. Let us all have a piece. But we don't want to settle down with that woman, ladies. So choose which woman you want to be. Yes, men are hypocritical, but that doesn't give you the license. Not all men are hypocritical. There's some good men out there who are pure. If you want to attract those men, be pure yourself, right? But you don't want to be pure. You want to have your cake and eat it too. Okay, well, you get what you get. This is why you're single, unfortunately. And it goes for men too. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't go sleep around and expect a pure woman, expect love, because you're probably going to attract what you are. And if you're a hypocrite, you're going to attract a hypocrite. If you're a liar, you're going to attract a liar, probably. Or you're going to hurt some nice woman, right? Which is not cool. And there are men out there who do that. There are men out there who just hurt nice women. But I will still say that those nice women, quote unquote, they're still chasing the 10 out of 10 Chad because of hypergamy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hypergamy screws women. It screws women. It screws women out of good relationships, screws women out of love. And yeah, it can be boring. Okay, you got this same guy. He's boring. He's docile. He's not rich. You got guys out here who are balling. You got guys out here who are making millions of dollars a month. You got guys out here driving crazy cars. Well, those guys don't want real relationships. They're just going to pump you and dump you. They're going to sleep with you and leave you on the side of the road. That's it, right? And you're going to learn that, or you want that, whatever. But then it disqualifies you from the real thing, I think. Now, can we have some healing? Probably it's the best thing, right? For our future, right? If these women are gonna have kids, if they're gonna grow our next generation, we probably should have some healing. And I've been bitter about this, and I've talked against that in my past. I've been like, no, man, they need consequences. And okay, well, maybe. But what about our future? What about our kids? I don't know, man. It's just a messed up situation. And I say to men too, do you want a woman who's promiscuous to raise your children? Do you want a woman who spent the last 15 years gobbling up cock and balls, to raise your kid? I don't know if I would. I don't know if I want a woman who's got no moral compass to raise my child. She'd raise my child with no moral compass. I don't want a feminist raising my child. She'd raise my child to be a feminist. No thanks, right? I want a woman who is going to complement my life, who matches my inner character, who matches my inner morals. Do I deserve it? I don't know, man, but it's a messed up world. A lot of men are just dealing with what they got. I know if I would have been offered a wife at 18 years old, 19 years old, I would have took it. If I would have been offered love, way back then when I was a virgin, I probably would have, I would have taken it, because I was looking for love when I was a virgin. I remember that, right? Women didn't want me. I wasn't bad boy enough. I wasn't cool enough. I got some girlfriends, but I was boring. Then they dumped me for guys who were in college. And I remember all this. This all happened in high school. These are all red pilling experiences for men. We all go through these same things. We're all talking about the same thing. We're talking about female nature. We're talking about how you guys behave. Pay attention. Pay attention. It tells you what we want. But again, we're all older now. We're all grown. And if you're asking that question, it's probably already too late. So really, you need to teach the younger women, hey, whoops, don't go this way. Don't be a feminist. Whoops, went the wrong road. I know where that leads. Don't go be promiscuous. Don't do, right? Each one teach one. If you have children, raise them better than how you were, hopefully. But really, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What does the Bible say about, if the parents go out and sow their wild oats, the children are going to go out and sow their wild oats. It runs in the blood, unfortunately. So it's not like our actions don't have consequences. And absolutely that goes for men too. Just is what it is. Sorry to say. How can you fix it? Again, work on yourself, work on your character, learn how to love a man, learn how to treat a man right. Hopefully you do it at a younger age. If not, it's not going to be great. It's going to be harder later on. And you're just going to be dealing with damage. You're going to be dealing with toxicity, baggage of your own. And you're going to your stock in the dating market is going to plummet, because men can tell. We can tell used goods. We can tell a woman who's not very adept. We can tell a woman who's slept around, been with a bunch of guys. We can tell a woman who's a feminist. We don't want that. That's why guys are avoiding you. That's why you're single. And you're not young anymore. Men go for young women. We want young women because, again, it just stands to reason. If she's older, she's been around. She's been passed around. She's played a lot of fiddles, so to speak. She's played a lot of flutes, right? It's not attractive to guys. We don't like that. We don't like older women. And we don't like boss women. It's the opposite of what we like. We don't like feminist women. We don't like independent women. We want a woman who's going to support us. We want a woman who's going to help us. We want a woman who's going to love us and have a good character. Sorry to say. So there you go. Appreciate you listening. Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.